before the Lusitania and the Edmund Fitzgerald. A steamer on a Finger Lake faced firestorm and peril. On a windy day with a crew of 6 and 60 souls aboard, by afternoon every one of them was praying to his Lord. In the awful wrack of the Frontenac on the east Cayuga shore, in an orphanage near Ithaca lived a boy named Tommy Day, with a gimpy leg and a painful limp, but a cheerful winning way. When they raffled off a ticket for a ride on the Frontenac, he was overjoyed to win it, though his buddies gave him flack. So he said he'd tell the story just as soon as he got back. The wind had whipped up 6-foot waves that tossed the boat around. On a sandbar just off Farley's Point, the vessel ran aground. It was 7 feet of water, and the waves were way too high, but with lifeboats and preservers, nobody had to die. Then a plume of smoke was calamity that no one could deny. In a blaze of haze and chaos, the old steamboat went down. From wind and fire they swam like mad to reach the drier ground. In the awful wrack of the Frontenac under Captain Melvin Brown, a boy of 12 named Roland was the first to spy the flame. Then Captain Brown of Syracuse came up and saw the same. They tried to put the fire out, but the wind was a fearsome gale. They did their all, but it was clear their best attempts would fail. So they lined up all the passengers along the leeward rail. The wide-eyed crowd were paralyzed with fear and stood amazed when they saw that all the lifeboats were also set ablaze. The captain cried, "Abandon ship!" A brave girl took the dive. Then men and women followed suit, trying to stay alive, all hoping for the miracle that never did arrive. In the water, it was bedlam, flaming timbers crashing down on the swimmers in the water, who thrashed and flailed around. Women's dresses weighed them down, they couldn't stay afloat. Some went under the paddle wheels, still churning on the boat. For 6 adults and 2 poor kids, that was all she wrote. In a blaze of haze and chaos, the old steamboat went down. Then a wind and fire, they swam like mad to reach the drier ground. In the awful wrack of the Frontenac under Captain Melvin Brown. Tom never learned to walk too well, but boy, that kid could swim. But the crew who didn't know that would expect no help from him. Tommy grabbed a woman's arm and dragged her to the shore, and swam right back and did his best to rescue several more. It was courage unlike any Captain Brown had seen before. In the aftermath, old Captain Brown reported all he knew. In sadness mixed with pride, he hailed the bravery of his crew. But the passengers, that is the men, were cowards, so he said. They didn't help, they saved themselves, as to the shore they fled. But without the help of little Tom, even more would have been dead. Burned out bulk lay on the bar at Farley's Point for years. If you passed it, you would tremble and imagine all the tears. But the country needed metal to support the Great World War, so they salvaged all the Frontenac till there was nothing more. And the still Cayuga waters closed as silent as before. In a blaze of haze and chaos, the old steamboat went down. Then wind and fire, they swam like mad to reach the drier ground. In the awful wrack of the Frontenac under Captain Melvin Brown. In the terrible wrack of the Frontenac under Captain Melvin Brown. In the fiery rack of the Frontenac under Captain Melvin